And it's been 6 months since President Lee Jae Myung took office. And while the government highlighted its key policy achievements this week, the presidential office says it plans to focus on resuming dialogue with North Korea next year. For more on this, we're joined today by Professor Ban Kil Joo, Assistant Professor at Korea National Diplomatic Academy. Professor Ban, thanks for joining us this morning.
Hello, good to be with you.
So senior officials say the government will focus on resuming dialogue between the two Koreas next year. How do you think the administration's North Korea policy will take shape in the coming year?
Well, the presidential office defined its comprehensive plan of resuming dialogue with North Korea as peace and coexistence on the Korean Peninsula. Meanwhile, the president's office also mentioned that stopping the combined exercises will not be used as a card for denuclearizing North Korea. With this in mind, Seoul's North Korea policy is expected to present both opportunities and challenges. When it comes to opportunities, the year 2026 could be a critical moment to mitigate tensions on the Korean Peninsula, thanks to expected diplomatic engagements between the United States and China. U.S. President Donald Trump is scheduled to visit Beijing in April 2026, which will be followed by China's President Xi's return visit to Washington. In this vein, the geopolitical tensions between the United States and China could be weakened through a series of talks and engagements. This engagement could have a positive impact on easing tensions on the Korean Peninsula in the sense that this is expected to mitigate the new corridor mechanism in the region as well as in the world. Moreover, unlike Trump's failure to meet Kim Jong-un this year, the DPRK-US summit might be feasible with the opportunity of Trump's visit to Beijing in the coming year. This meeting could pave the way for promoting inter-Korean dialogue as well if the summit turns out to be successful. When it comes to challenges, North Korea is most likely to demand preconditions to South Korea and/or the United States before Pyongyang sits at the negotiation table. One of the key preconditions would be the termination of the combined exercises. To top it up, North Korea is reluctant to sit at the table with South Korea under the hostile two-state policy, which is opposed to South Korea's policy concept of peace and coexistence on the Korean Peninsula. So Pyongyang is more likely to sit at the negotiation table with Washington than with Seoul. In that aspect, South Korea should make tremendous diplomatic and strategic efforts to visualize new policy ambition as it steps up cooperation with not only the United States, but also China.
Right, so cooperation with the United States is very crucial. But as we just saw, North Korea was left out of the Trump administration's newly released national security strategy. And many analysts believe that the United States no longer see Pyongyang as a top priority. What's your take on this, and how should South Korea prepare for this policy shift?
To be honest with you, it has been a long time since Washington left North Korea as its top priority. It could be traced back to the Obama administration, which laid out strategic patience as its North Korea policy. Meanwhile, the 2025 national security strategy shows that the Trump administration's policy priority toward North Korea has been much lower than the previous ones, in the sense that it not only stayed away from a phrase on the denuclearization of North Korea, but also did not mention North Korea at all. What drives the Trump administration to the policy shift? Well, the Trump administration believes that the United States faces a shortage of resources to tackle all issues around the world. So it is eager to narrow down its national interests based upon the mega concept, which is America First. The 2025 NSS specifies the two key priorities. First, the Western Hemisphere, and second, deterrence in the Indo-Pacific targeting China. The Trump administration omission of North Korea issue as a priority is bad for South Korea's security because it could give rise to North Korea's miscalculation. If so, why is South Korea supposed to make Washington pay more attention to the North Korea policy? First of all, Seoul should take advantage of the bilateral and trilateral formula. Although the United States attempts to leave North Korea out of its priority, it still pays attention to North Korea issue and the denuclearization of North Korea in the bilateral diplomacy with South Korea and the trilateral platform with South Korea and Japan. So while taking advantage of those platforms, South Korea needs to encourage the United States to pay more attention to the denuclearization of North Korea. Second, South Korea needs to upgrade the division of labor formula on the coordination of the North Korea issue, which is the United States as a peacemaker and South Korea as a pacemaker.
Right, and it's been 6 months since President Lee Jae Myung took office, right? What are your thoughts on the diplomatic achievements overall that he's made so far, and what challenges does the administration still need to address?
Well, I would say that the Lee administration has made diplomatic achievements in two ways since he took office, and it has two follow-up diplomatic tasks. When it comes to two diplomatic achievements, first of all, it clearly showed to the world as well as in the United States and China what its pragmatic diplomacy looks like through an intensive diplomatic journey. In the first phase of pragmatic diplomacy, it paid attention to security diplomacy, where it was intended to bolster its security through its cooperation with the United States, its ally, and Japan, its security partner. In the second phase, the Lee administration put emphasis on inclusive diplomacy, where it was eager to step up its cooperation with its non-like-minded countries such as China. As a result, South Korea has maintained stable relations with both the United States and China in a situation where earlier it has been recognized to be tricky or impossible. Second, South Korea agreed to alliance modernization with the United States through a series of diplomatic engagements such as the ROK-US summits, MCM, and SCM. So South Korea not only succeeded in maintaining alliance risks, but also made the United States recognize South Korea as a reliable ally. Secretary Heg's remark on South Korea as a model ally shows the ROK-US alliance remains ironclad. In the meantime, obviously, diplomatic risks should continue in order to maximize these diplomatic achievements, particularly when facing China and Japan. When it comes to follow-up diplomatic tasks, South Korea needs to put more effort into expanding its diplomatic horizon in order to implement its key diplomatic policies such as global responsible strong power diplomacy and G7 plus diplomacy. To that end, South Korea needs to pay more attention to its cooperation with NATO and the NATO IP platform. Second, the Lee administration should make its North Korea policy supported around the world beyond its internal policy. In short, South Korea should pay more attention to bolstering its cooperation with its like-minded countries in an aim to make them support South Korea's North Korea policy. All in all, South Korea should make an effort to ensure that its diplomatic achievements, which were made over the last 6 months, can lead to a virtuous cycle of achieving enhanced security.
I see. So a lot of diplomatic achievements and a lot more to look forward to ahead. All right, Professor Pan, thank you so much for your time today. I'm afraid that's all the time we have for today. Thank you so much for your insight. We appreciate it.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you.